Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Parish Construction and Roofing. You need an orthopedist, you go to Brock. You need a roof, you call Parish. Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Okay, we were glad to have you aboard with us here. What a definition of a tale of two halves, huh? LSU midway through the third quarter, 2-score lead. Your field has dominated the whole game. A&M had like 40 passing yards at that point. Really one drive. I believe you'd forced 5 straight punts at that point. And then Garrett Nussmeier throws the first of 3 interceptions. Texas A&M puts Marcel Reed in the game, and a play later, A&M's in the end zone, and it just completely spiraled on LSU from that point, and A&M took advantage, so much so that you end up losing by 15. I mean, if you went to bed with LSU up. Hey, buddy. Okay, let me see. Let me see.
Oh.
Okay.
Not for all.
Well, you can go watch your iPad. We're going to do Dad's show. Then later, we'll go to church and then go to the mall. And then later, watch the Saints play.
Okay.
Okay. There you go. Off you go. If you went to bed with the score 17-7 in the third quarter, and you woke up and saw the final today, I mean, the only 2 games in my lifetime that I can remember, one of them came to mind, another someone reminded us on Whiskey and Wine. Only 2 games I can remember in my lifetime that had that stark of a turnaround. The Auburn game in '94, dubbed the interception game, and I believe it was 4 second half interceptions. And Tennessee in 2005, where you led 21-0 at half and you ended up losing in overtime. Those are hard to explain, and it takes a lot of both good adjustments by your opponent and good execution, and then also some undoing on your part. You're leaving the door open for a team to come back, and unfortunately, that's what happened with LSU yesterday. The Tigers had plenty of opportunities to stretch that lead. On your second possession of the game, you put together a really nice drive. You had 1st and goal from the 7. I didn't like taking Caden Durham out there and putting Josh Williams in. That's not revisionist history. I made the note actually at the top of my page, Josh Williams in the goal to go situation instead of Caden Durham. Caden Durham's your best guy. I understand Williams is a better pass blocker, but the first play of the goal to go situation, you ran with Josh Williams for -1 yard. Second down from the 8, you threw it to Josh Williams for 2 yards. You had third and goal from the 6, and you targeted Trey'Dez Green. It was incomplete. So, I mean, picking a 23-yard field goal. You left points on the board there. You score on your next drive to go up 10-0. You allow them to score. You answer back with a long drive. And a false start by Will Campbell on 2nd and 8 makes it 2nd and 13. An incomplete pass, a run for no gain, and you attempt a 48-yard field goal. That's no good. The operation of the field goal was poor. Snap, hold, placement, all of it. Just so disappointing, man. That's 7 points right there. That the not getting the touchdown and the goal to go situation earlier, than missing that field goal. That's 7 right there. You'd miss another field goal at the end of the first half. I mean, potentially 10 points you left out there in the first half. And I mean, it doesn't change the fact that when they went to Marcel Reed, you had no answer. And that's where you tip your hat to A&M. Mike Elko for being bold enough to make that change, and then A&M for executing with Reed, because LSU had no answer whatsoever. He was on the field for 5 possessions. They scored on all 5, 4 touchdowns and a field goal. So Again, you left the door open and they kicked it in. And then there's obviously the issue of Nussmeier's interceptions, because even at the point they put Reed in, Nuss's first interception came on 3rd and 2. And you're at your own 13 to start that drive with 9:47 to play in the third. Emory Jones false started 1st and 15. You go gain of 7, gain of 6. It's 3rd and 2. And Nuss is rolling left and throws back toward the middle of the field, and it was intercepted, which we all know it's a cardinal rule. You don't throw across your body back toward the middle of the field. And, in a situation where you had kept them at arm's length the entire game, you gave them the ball at your 8, and one play later they score, and now all of a sudden 17-14, crowd's back in the game. And instead of maybe putting together a drive to go up to extend your lead from 10 to maybe 2 touchdowns, now it's a 3-point game, and they're all into it and believing. And of course, the next drive, LSU put together a really nice drive. You converted a 3rd and 9 with Kyron Lacey. This was the drive where you had PI and a personal foul on the same play. 3rd and 9, you convert with Kyron Lacey, a 15-yarder, which was massive. Xavier Thomas dropped a pass on 3rd and 7, which would have made it a more manageable field goal, but you line up for one anyway, and that's where the snap goes off of Peyton Todd's head. So just then the place obviously is going nuts even more. They get the ball, they score, and it's 21-7. And then on the second play of the next drive is when Nuss threw the interception in the flat. 1, 2, 3 plays there in the end zone again. I mean, it just absolutely snowballed on you. So, I mean, you credit them because they made plays, but they took advantage of a lot of mistakes you made that were self-inflicted. And that's one that you will replay in your mind if you're LSU, the coaching staff, the players, over and over and over again, because you were on the road midway through the third quarter in a game you were in complete control of, and it unraveled. And going from being a good team to a great team, those are the types of games that you avoid. Those are the types of collapses that never happen to elite teams. So, so disappointing that they had no answer for Marcel Reed, because the defense up until that point was fantastic. Like if I look at, I'll tell you the breakdowns. In the first half, you outgained him 283 to 147. They ran it 22 times and threw it 14 times. Connor Wegman was 5 of 14 for 49 yards in the first half. You were in complete control. And then obviously we saw, what happened in the second half. They outscored you 14-0 in the third quarter. And by the way, they outscored you 14-0 with only 98 yards of offense. 98 to 41 was the offensive breakdown in the third quarter. And in the fourth quarter, it was 131 to 105 total yardage. They had scoring drives of 8 yards. Let's see, after the bad snap, they took over at their own 40. So that was a 60-yard drive. 26 yards. And that was the one where they hit the 54-yarder after LSU scored. So then that was 75 yards. And then after the interception, they took over at the LSU 38 and ended up kicking a field goal. Boy, that just, it's like the Ron Burgundy gift. That escalated quickly. So 71 degrees. All right, we'll say good morning, y'all. Please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. As always, shout out to Brock and Parrish. Need North Peach, go to Brock. Need a roof, call us at Parrish. Parrish Construction and Roofing, parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. Of course, Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Unique Physique, semaglutide, tirzepatide, the once-a-week injection for weight loss. If you want to learn more, remember, the whole thing is over telemed. You never have to go into the office. Lowest prices. No contracts ever. It's Unique Physique and uniquephysique.com. All right, I'm pinning the Parrish link in the chat real quick. My apologies. I'm a smidge distracted right now. Just pin. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's say some good mornings here. Derek, when is it time to blame Sloan's poor play calling out here like Pete Carmichael? Okay, Derek, I need a very specific example because I'm gonna rebuff things like that because I thought there was a lot that they did very well. I mean, when you have no running game to speak of, you still put up you outgained them 429 to 376. I mean, in a game you lost by 15, a game you lost by 2 touchdowns, you outgained them by 50 yards and put up 429. So I'm going to push back a little bit on you there. You're going to have to be more specific and tell me what specific play calls you're talking about. Because I think a lot of that is something that I loathe, which is the fan echo chamber, where you're sitting around with your buddies, you go, "Oh, Sloan," it like one play you don't like, Sloan sucks. Well, like, give me a specific example and let's talk about it. Kelly Gross, good morning. Bubba Smith, good morning. Solar Flares, Sam Dorsey. Let's see, Dodge. I love Nuss. He has a series where it's 3rd and 2, has a green in front of him, forced to pass, gets picked off. Yeah, on the 3rd and 2, there was no room for him to run. He was on the first interception. He was being flushed left. There was nowhere for him to go. He was being flushed left. It was either he was being chased. It was either throw the ball into the 5th row, run out of bounds, or do what he did, which was throw it back across the middle of the field. It was terrible, terrible decision. And one of the things that T-Bob was talking about on Whiskey and Wine last night was, well, early in the game, there was the third and 15 on the drive where you missed the field goal wide, the first field goal missed wide left. You had a 3rd and 15, and Nuss did the same thing. He was rolling right, but threw back toward the middle, and he got Kyron Lacey for 32 yards, where Lacey came back to the football. Part of that's taking a shot, part of that's trusting your receiver, but there is risk involved in that. We talked about the tying touchdown to Aaron Anderson at the end of the Ole Miss game. You take the good with the bad, and there's been way more good than bad this year, but last night the bad snowballed. Randall, not having a plan for a one-dimensional backup quarterback is wild. I don't think you can say he's one-dimensional because he threw 2 passes, hit them both, and one was a 54-yard dime right down the middle of the field that broke your back because you scored to make it 28-23. And there was 9:57 to play in the ballgame. So you got within 5, right? You weathered the storm. You score, you get within 5. It's a 1-score game. There's 9:57 to play. You get a stop here. It's game on. Instead, the first play, they go 54 yards down the seam where you had a safety and a corner. Zy Alexander, and I believe it was Jordan Gilbert back there. And 2 plays later, they're in the end zone. So Marcel Reed's a good player. But, yes, the inability to stop the zone read was perplexing, especially because you saw it a week ago. And you had to know there was at least a possibility of them playing Marcel Reed in this game. Hey, Dane. Morning, Matt. On my way to Covey Rise. Have to go shoot something after that game. Been to Covey Rise the last couple of years for Guarantee Leadership Retreats. Beautiful place up there, man. Great food, too. Brant, missed most of the game. You have to tip your cap to the backup quarterback for A&M. Of course. He was great. It changed the game. Mike Elko making the decision to bench Connor Wegman to go with Marcel Reed changed the game. And it could have backfired. But it didn't. LSU, he made a very bold decision, and LSU didn't have an answer for it. That changed the game. Seth, I want to say all the cuss words. That was absolutely unacceptable. Never seen a team throw up on themselves like that. B, Matt, I'm sad this morning with a bad loss. No points in the second half. Well, you did score in the second half. You had the 1 touchdown your opening drive of the 4th quarter. You went down and scored to make it 28-23 when you missed the 2-point conversion. But yeah, I mean, you threw 3 interceptions in the second half. I mean, you gave them 3 possessions, one of them at your own 8, another at your 26. I mean, you handed them 2 short field scores. Rex, good morning. Thomas, crappy night. Bye week gives us time to work on some things. Yeah. Get healthy, 2 weeks to prepare for what you're going to see. But I'll tell you this much. Here's what's conflicting. You saw a very good rush offense a week ago against Arkansas with a running quarterback, the zone read concept, a very powerful running back. You saw that last week against Arkansas, and you throttled them. They had 38 yards rushing. A&M pivoted mid-game to that same style, and you had no answer whatsoever. So what do you do against Milroe? If you can't stop Milroe from running the ball like Marcel Reed did, you're in trouble because clearly you got no answer. Jason, is this what Ole Miss felt like leaving Tiger Stadium? Yeah. I think you wake up, like the point about that game all along was Ole Miss left the door open for LSU, and LSU kept coming and ultimately won the game, made the plays to win it. They missed a 32-yard field goal. They dropped an 81-yard walk-in touchdown on their second offensive play. They had a possession after an interception that started at your 13 and came away with no points. I mean, any of those things changes fundamentally the game, and Ole Miss probably wins it. But they didn't make those plays, allowed the door open, and LSU ended up making the plays late to win it. Similarly, LSU had opportunities to extend the lead, didn't. As a result, A&M was close enough. They made a very significant change there in putting Marcel Reed in the game. Nussmeier started turning it over. LSU had no answer for Reed, and they ended up winning the game. Yeah, it's a good question. Why is our line bad at run blocking? I don't know. I mean, I am interested to see how Paul Mabenga played. Actually, let me check that right now. I can look at PFF to see what they say. Garrett Dellinger went out of the game. Let's see. Dellinger went out in the second quarter. Boy, this is a big play. I mean, it was 2 plays before Aaron Anderson's touchdown because you're in a 10-7 ball game, and it looks like you're going to go 3 and out because you get stopped on a 3rd and 13. And there's a defensive face mask on them, which gives you 15 yards. 2 plays later was Aaron Anderson's 76-yarder. So that was – but anyway, on the defensive face mask is where Dellinger went out, and he never returned. So Paul Mabenga replaced him. I'll tell you right now how he graded. Mabenga graded out at 53.7, run block 42.4, pass block 74.5. So like everybody else, good pass blocking, poor run blocking, according to PFF anyway. Let's say I've been telling people Nuss is like Jameis with his decision-making picks. I get clowned for it. Really showed last night. See, that's not fair, NVC, because what you're doing is you're ignoring the gigantic sample size of him being awesome. Like you've had nothing. If that's your take, then you've had nothing to say so far through 7 games, and then you highlight 1 quarter and a half where he was bad, and you're like, "See, I told you." Like. But what I would tell you is through 8 games, that quarter and a half is the outlier. So, yeah, that hurts you. But at the same time, his bravado, his moxie, all that stuff has served you well. Like, that's why you beat Ole Miss. That's why you were able to come back against South Carolina. So I'll push back against you there, man. Like, I don't really have a lot of tolerance for that. I think that's a weak argument. See, I've been telling you, yeah. So you've had nothing to say for 7 weeks, 7 games, and 2.5 quarters. So a quarter and a half of some bad decision making, and you're like, "See, I told you." Come on, bro. That is weak. What else? You act like they'd never seen a running quarterback before. Brennan, morning, Matt. Had to take family pictures this morning. Pretend to be happy. Had a smile, even though Nuss threw 3 picks. Taylor, good morning. Feel like Peyton Todd had a tough night overall. Punting was great, either on top of his mishandling field goal snap. Yeah, I mean, I'll be curious to hear what Kelly said, but it's sure like the operation of a field goal. I mean, Kelly even said it last week. The missed field goal against Ole Miss, they said was on the snap in the hold that they threw off. It threw off Ramos's timing. And then yesterday, it's pretty clear, like Todd didn't spin the ball. Like the laces were like kicked the side panel at one point. I don't know. Again, like I don't know everything about that execution of the whole process, but it all has to make sense. Snap, placement, hold, right? And the kick. So, I mean, I'll tell you, it's odd because the 49-yarder that he missed that was short. I mean, I watched Damian Ramos at fall camp make kicks from. I watched him make kicks from beyond 50. I'll go through and find. I'll go through and find my notes. I don't want to sit here and do this while we're sitting here, but I know I charted him kicking 55. I know I did. It might be in a different notebook. Oh, here you go.
You didn't have any blue glass piece from
I didn't think anything. No.
you did it in your pack by accident.
Well, there you go. Let's see. Made from 35, made from 40, made from 45 from the right hash. He made from 50, but I put barely. He barely made it from 50. So 50 is about his range. Kirk Taylor, good morning. Austin, good morning. I didn't agree with T-Bob last night. That was the better team in their coaching and their coaches choking. Nuss regressed to the careless gunslinger we feared. Baker had no plan for Reed. I think if you don't know, so T-Bob and I on Whiskey and Wine, I know a lot of you watched it. I'm sure many of you didn't. T-Bob and I were kind of disagreeing with, and I really think it was a semantics argument. I think we probably agreed more than we disagreed. I am certainly not discrediting the job Texas A&M did once Marcel Reed was in the game. I'm also looking at the interceptions, and I think part of the point, was A&M gave exotic looks that confused Garrett Nussmeier and forced bad throws. Okay. Sure. I would also say, like, I expect Nussmeier to be better, because he's been better and he's a veteran player. The pass over the middle was inexcusable, especially considering the situation. You're up 10 midway through the third quarter. They can't move the football. Don't give them anything. He gave them the ball. The next drive, the pass in the flat, he thought it was zone, or he thought it was man because the corner was running off. They were playing zone. He broke off and jumped the route. Like, I expect Nuss to be better than that. I mean, that's the expectation, that if that were a young quarterback, a freshman playing early in his career, I could understand that. I get it. It was just not Nuss's ninth start, but how long do we say that, right? He's been around for a long time now. He's played a lot of football. Like, that's a mistake on the quarterback. Because, I mean, every defense is trying. Every defense tries to confuse the quarterback and tries to create scenarios that are advantageous. And you want your veteran players to be able to overcome that and be better. And Nuss has been at this point, and he wasn't on Saturday. And that's kind of the crux of it. So, I mean, yes, you can give credit to Elko and the defense for some of those looks and the way that they played it. But I also think it's realistic to expect a veteran quarterback who's been very good to be better than that, not to throw the ball back toward the middle of the field into coverage, not to not to be confused by the end dropping to cover the back over the middle, or breaking off into zone on the right flat. Like those are bad plays, man. There's no two ways about it. See, now Swole said pass on first, run on second, pass on third. So again, I have no problem whatsoever. I actually like the fact that LSU throws the ball on first down because you don't have a good running game. A lot of that is an awareness of what you are. So I would rather a high percentage throw on first down to get you 3 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards than running the ball when you can't run the ball. Similarly, if you have an incomplete pass on first down, I remember Alan Risher told me this. I'd sit with him in the press box. He said, Matt, 99% of the time, there's an incomplete pass on first down. You run the ball in second to make a third and manageable. You're trying to get something so it's not 3rd and 10. You get something third and manageable. So, yes, if you're going to throw on first, you're going to take the good with the bad. And oftentimes, it's worked really well for this year for LSU whenever they've had second down runs because Sloan has been like I would say that's actually a good sign of a play caller to be patient, to not try to get it all back, to take what you can to make a third and manageable situation. The key is you've got to get to third and manageable, and LSU, which they've done that a lot this year, didn't do that on Saturday night against Texas A&M. There were too many times where they threw it on first. If it was incomplete, they ran it on second, which is the right thing to do, but you couldn't gain any yardage to make it manageable. I mean, the first play of the game was an incomplete pass. Second down, you ran with Caden Durham for -1. You had 3rd and 11, you punted. I mean, on the first scoring drive, you threw to Mason Taylor on first down. It was incomplete. You threw it to Xavion Thomas on second down for 8 yards. So, and then you converted the 3rd and 2 with a pass to Trey'Dez Green. 3rd and 2, and you threw the football. Like, again, like you're looking in a vacuum. If you just want to be mad at Joe Sloan, you can. But you're just wrong. Like, there's no way around it. This is that is how you function offensively. If LSU was just lining up and running the ball on first down and gaining nothing, you'd all be saying, why won't he throw the ball on first down? You're playing to your strengths by throwing the ball on first down. And when you complete a pass on first down, fantastic. Like this drive, where the Aaron Anderson touchdown drive, on first down, you threw a pass to Kyron Lacey on the sideline, dropped it. Like Kyron was awesome yesterday. He had a drop right there. It's 2nd and 10. You ran it with Caden Durham, -3 yards. 3rd and 13, that's when they got the defensive face mask. First down, you ran a screen for -1 yards. Like, even when you tried to throw it as an extension of the running game, you struggled. Like, you credit them. They're a good defense. He's a good defensive coach. I mean, the next drive where you had the right before half, you threw on first down to Hilton for 15 yards. Next play to Kyron Lacey for 30 yards. First down, you threw to Hilton incomplete. Second down, you threw it to Caden Durham. He dropped it. So you didn't go pass, run, pass. You went pass, pass. You had a drop, 3rd and 10. It was incomplete. Now you had to attempt a 49-yard field goal instead of something more manageable. So, like, again, like, I'm sitting here going through the game, debunking what you're saying. But in your mind, that's what fans do. Like, you watch the game with your friends, your family. You get into this echo chamber. You're watching on Twitter. You see something and you convince yourself of it. The next time you see it, you go, oh, that's all they do. And you're just wrong. Like, there's a whole game of 80 plays to give you an example of how they change things up. I just read for you 5 drives where they did different things. Like, yes, there are situations where when you throw on first down and it's incomplete, you're gonna run the ball on second down to be able to get to third and manageable. LSU couldn't run the ball last night. Like, and he knew that. I just told you, there's times they ran screens. Times they ran stretch. There's times they threw the ball to the tight end. Like, your inability to run the ball is a problem, period. Duval, if Georgia, Texas A&M, and LSU finish with one SEC loss, who's the top 2 going to Atlanta? Well, it goes head-to-head is the first tiebreaker. So A&M with a head-to-head over LSU would put A&M in there. And then I don't know what you would do there with Georgia. But remember, you got Texas as well. So Texas, I think Texas and Georgia are winning out. I think both of those teams are going to finish with 1 loss. So that would tell you that I think Texas is going to beat Texas A&M. So I think A&M isn't going to finish. Well, I guess that would be the first loss. But A&M has to go to South Carolina this week, and they have to play at Auburn as well. So they go at South Carolina, at Auburn, a non-conference something or other, and then they play Texas. Let's see, but I don't know all the tiebreakers, man. It would be very convoluted if you don't have head to head. I mean, I can read the tiebreakers for you, but I don't know how it all. Like, I mean, the first tiebreakers head to head, then record among common conference opponents among the tied teams, then record against highest placed common conference opponents in conference standings, and proceeding through the conference standings among the tied teams. It's if you end up with a situation with multiple tied teams and there's no head to head among the tied teams, then it gets very convoluted. And I think there's so many games to play. It's not really worth even doing that right now. Alex, College Station crowd took over after they got close. Team can't handle mobile quarterbacks. You see, but Alex, they did last week. That's where I push back against you. Like, that's the thing where last night is perplexing, because in a 2-week span, you had very stark contrasting performances against a similar offense. Last week, you saw Taylor Green, Jaquindon Jackson, and you throttled them, held them to 38 rush yards. On Saturday night against Texas A&M, they put Marcel Reed into the game, and you had no answer, which is perplexing because you saw it literally the week before, and you dominated defensively. I think it's one of those things where you went from running a marathon to running a sprint mid-game, and you weren't prepared for that stark contrast mid-game. It's very disappointing. I mean, I could even understand how that second drive, it took you seeing it a little bit to adjust. But the fact that they ran 5 possessions with Marcel Reed and you didn't get a stop is mind-boggling. Christian, what a collapse it was. Reed threw 2 passes the entire game. Single-handedly dismantled the defense. Well, I mean, you could say he threw 2 passes the entire game. He played a quarter and a half. But yes. Geo Cosmic not being prepared for some kind of Reed package is mind-boggling. I agree. I completely agree, especially because you saw it the week before. I completely agree with that. I'm not pushing back on that whatsoever. The fact that they could not get a stop against that offense that you literally saw the week prior is crazy. Let's see. Poor scouting. O-line killed us. Carl the Cat, team effort. LSU can still have a chance at their goals. Not much room for error. Yeah, there's no room for error. If you want to be a playoff team, you have to win out. So that's the key point of last night's game, right? So the winner was going to be in a great spot because you still have a game to play with. So A&M could lose somewhere along the way and still feel good about getting in the playoff. LSU at this point, you have to win out if you want to make the playoff. The good news for LSU is you get an open date, and then you get 3 of your next 4 at home. And those 4 are Bama, who is as vulnerable as they've been literally since the first year Nick showed up. You go to Florida, who they were open this week. They play Georgia next week. And then they play, by the way, that's one thing, like, you do catch Florida at a good time. Although it is the week after you play Bama and you got to go on the road, they play Georgia, at Texas, then LSU. So that is a really tough back-to-back swing there for Florida, going Georgia neutral site at Texas, then home against LSU. So you may just catch a sort of reeling, vulnerable Florida team when you go. And then you're home against Vandy and home against Oklahoma. I mean, Vandy's playing well, but Oklahoma's as bad as they've been since before Bob Stoops. So, I mean, you got a great shot. I mean, you have a shot to win out. I don't look at any of the 4 remaining games and going like, well, you can't win that. Well, you need a miracle to win that one. You got to get better and see if you can go win them. If you do, you see where the chips fall where they may. Cody, good morning. Run game struggles on the line, the backs, the play calling combo. I find it hard to believe that alone can be so good past pro. I think you're talking about the wrong. Yeah, like, but it is. I mean, you keep getting beaten at the point of attack. I think it's pretty clear. Like, You ran the ball well against South Alabama, a team where you were physically better. You ran the ball well against Arkansas, a defensive front where you were physically better. You struggled to run the ball against Ole Miss. You struggled to run the ball against Texas A&M. You struggled to run the ball against USC. Like teams that were physically equal to or superior, like you didn't win those matchups. Like that is a fair criticism. Your offensive line is a very good pass blocking offensive line. Even the 2 sacks late, you can somewhat excuse because at that point you're down 2 touchdowns. You are completely, you are one-dimensional at that point, needing to play, catch up. And so those pass rushers were just pinning their ears back and coming. I mean, there was no need to respect the threat of a run at all. So, anyway, Randy, Will Campbell will not be for. Get out of here. I'm not even going to enter. Of course, Will Campbell is going to be a first rounder. That's one of the stupid. Like, I get people are emotional, but like, I can't handle stupid comments like that. I can handle talking about fair criticism, which I think there's plenty to go around. Like, you don't blow a double-digit lead in the third quarter and lose by 2 touchdowns and say, "Oh, there's no one to blame." Yes, there's a lot of blame to go around. I cannot handle like just raw emotional stupidity. And Randy, I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying that is a stupid comment. Will Campbell has been a starting left tackle in the SEC for 3 years. In his career, he's allowed 3 sacks. Like, what are you talking about? He is literally on everybody's mock draft as a top 10 pick, top 15 at the worst. Like, I think the lowest I've seen him mocked is 15th overall. Of course he's going to be a first-round pick. What are you talking about? Like, one bad game, that's like where as a whole, it was a bad game for the team, a bad finish, and you're going to say that quarter and a half where your defense couldn't get a stop against a mobile quarterback, like that's going to cost Will. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, those are the types of things that annoy the hell out of me from fans. Though that's the type of comment. Will Campbell's not going to be a first rounder. Shut up. Shut up. Like, this is morning scone and it's supposed to be fun where we all just have coffee and talk, and like that stuff just annoys me to my core. Like, those are the types of things where I look and I go, those are the types of comments why I hate fan interaction. Those types of things. Well, I shouldn't say hate fan interaction, that make me, because it's like, it's so illogical and nonsensical. It makes it like there is no root to that whatsoever other than you being pissed off and spouting off. So dumb. Anthony, good morning. Now that the playoffs and SEC are out of the question, what is the team actually playing for the rest of the year? Not saying the guy defense is the same as last year. Okay. So there's so much wrong with that, Anthony. Number one, playoffs are not out of the question. I just laid out how you have a possibility of win the next 4 and you could be in as a 2-loss team. If you're saying Nuss ain't the guy, that's also very stupid, because for 7 games, he's been great. Leading the conference in touchdown passes in an offense where you don't have a running game. He has had to shoulder all of it, and he's been great. And so he made bad decisions yesterday in the second half. Like, if you're trying to tell me he ain't the guy, again, another dumb comment. And then if you're saying the defense is the same as last year, then you have forgotten what last year was like. You have completely forgotten what last year was like, because last year we were quite literally saying, if the defense can just get 1 stop in each half, your offense can go outscore other teams. Like, that was the compromise we had made in our brains. Like, just get a stop a half. Yesterday, A&M went punt. Wait, hang on. That was second half. A&M went punt, fumble, touchdown, punt, stopped on 4th and 3, so turnover on downs. So in the first half, they scored 1 time out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possessions. It's 6 possessions in the half. They scored 1 time. You had 3 punts, a forced fumble, and a turnover on downs. Like, do not sit here and tell me they're the same defense as last year, because again, that's stupid. Yay. All right. Please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. Where are we? I don't know. There's a bajillion comments. I'm like 20 minutes behind on them. I could go to the bottom, but I don't know. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. As always, shout out to Brock and Parrish. You need North Peace, go to Brock and your roof, call Parrish. ParrishBuilt.com. We got Parrish pinned in the chat. Unique Physique and Restored Motions. Remember, Unique Physique, semaglutide, tirzepatide. Once a week injections for weight loss. No contracts, lowest prices. Do the whole thing over telemed. They can ship your medicine anywhere in the country. Learn more, uniquephysique.com. And of course, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Call Crystal Poche. Book an appointment if you're in pain. She'll get you out of it. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. I'll just go to the bottom and work my way up because I'm like 30 minutes behind on comments. Christopher said, I was concerned about the game, felt it was a bigger challenge for them. It's interesting. I'm a big believer in, y'all hear me say this all the time, in spot on the schedule. It's not just who you play, but when and where you play them. And before the season, I told you I liked LSU against Ole Miss because Ole Miss was playing a second of back-to-back. LSU was coming off a bye. And we got the game weekend, I picked Ole Miss. And before the season, I told you, and even during the Ole Miss week, I told you, like, prepare to be upset with me because I'm going to pick A&M to beat LSU. And game week came, and I saw LSU, how they did defensively against Arkansas, and I think they've turned the corner. I think LSU is the better team. So despite the fact that LSU was playing back-to-back road conference games, I picked LSU, and I was wrong both times. I switched my preseason prediction the week of the game, and I was wrong both times, which I guess is my lesson. Stick with your preseason predictions when it comes to spots on the schedule, because yay. Seth, we need Drew to brighten up our weekend. Hey, Drew, come see. Drew, come see. Drew. King Mo, what's up, Matt? Sloan should have forced the ball. He was killing him in the middle of the field. I don't know, man. 9 different players caught a pass. I thought they did a really good job spreading the ball around. Hey, come see. Come see. Hey, come see. Hey. He gone. Look out there. Aaron Anderson was really good. Aaron Anderson has been really good for LSU all year. I mean, even the ball, look, the play where you scored, the drive where you scored after the 2 interceptions and they went up 28-17, you got back in it on a 33-yarder right down the middle to Aaron Anderson down to the 3-yard line. That's when you tush push, nuss in. I think Anderson's been great. Anderson had 3 for 126, including the 76-yarder and then the 33-yarder down the middle. Kyron was great as well, 5 for 106. They targeted Anderson 6 times, though. So he had 3 catches on 6 targets. Lacey had 9 targets. Taylor had 8. So, I mean, Aaron Anderson had the second most or third most targets on the team behind Kyron Lacey and Mason Taylor. I mean, you can't. I feel like he had plenty of opportunities. Tremaine, Matt, have you heard from Russ? He hasn't offed himself, has he? No, I don't think he has. Let's see. Clayton, why was Nuss operating a slow drill with 3 minutes left, down 2 scores? Another thing, does this game hurt recruiting trail for Underwood? No. One thing that I've definitely learned over the years, man, with recruiting, we look at a game as media or fans or whatever and react a certain way. The recruiting process is a years-long process of building relationships, man. So no, if anything, if a team struggles here or there, a recruit looks at it and says, oh, they need me. I can go play right now. I can help them win now. So no, the result of a game isn't going to affect that. Years of an investment into recruiting a guy and him being committed and visiting LSU and talking to the coaches and everything that's in there. So no. It's disappointing. I mean, there's no way around it. But no. The high Calvinist. Baker can't make adjustments. Oh. What are you talking about? Like, the whole narrative of this season defensively has been how teams have gotten off against LSU early and LSU's made adjustments late. The Ole Miss game. Ole Miss didn't score a touchdown in the second half or overtime. UCLA, you were tied with UCLA at half. The second half, they had 84 yards of offense. Like, what are you talking about? Sometimes I wonder if we are all actually watching the same thing. This, again, goes back to the whole fan narrative thing and the echo chamber where you convince yourself of something you don't actually pay attention. Like, it's one of the more frustrating things for me because I feel like I spend my whole life, I do spend my whole life talking about this stuff. I do Morning Scone for hours a week. I do Locked on LSU. I do AFR for 15 hours a week. I do Scone and Tea. I do Whiskey and Wine. Like, I put more content out there than literally anybody. Literally anybody. I do more shows, more hours than anybody. I talk about this stuff my whole life. And I keep telling you all these things. It's got to be like a parent who keeps telling their kids, like to clean their room, and their kid continues not cleaning their room. Make your bed, and then you wake up and the bed's not made. It's like, what in the world do I have to do to make this resonate in your brain? Like, through 7 games, the narrative of this LSU team was slow start. South Carolina, you had issues against South Carolina. You found yourself down 17, and then boom, in the second half, your defense played much better. Your offense got going, and you won. Like, the whole thing about this team has been defensive adjustments. They've been great. God, I never trusted Nuss. Like, that's so stupid. That's just stupid. Like, it's so stupid and lazy and convenient to say that today. It's so it bothers me so much. Like, because that's the kind of comment where I think it's cowardly because we've all sat here and praised that dude for 7 games for carrying this offense. We have lauded him for being nails. The touchdown pass to Aaron Anderson against Ole Miss, the comeback against South Carolina, playing through injuries. Nuss has been awesome for you this year. Like, in an offense where you can't run the ball, he has been incredible. Like, he has been the puppet master. And to show up the day after he has a bad quarter and a half and say, oh, I never trust him anyway, is so weak. It is so weak. Because honestly, what you should be saying is, man, Nuss has been awesome this year. That's the outlier. In his career, we know the question had been decision-making, but he's been awesome this year and had a bad moment yesterday in the second half against Texas A&M, which is true. He had a bad, there's no way around it. He made poor decisions in key moments that cost you big time. I'm not arguing against that at all. But to come here today after that and say, oh, I never trusted him, when the reason, quite literally, you were one of the last 2 undefeated teams in the conference, and you're at 6-2 right now, going into yesterday, you're 6-1, is because he's been awesome. Like, I have no tolerance for that. That is so weak. Oh, I told you it wasn't any good. Like, where have you been for the last 8 weeks, bro? Brambo will be able to run the ball on Bama. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, LSU's been able to run the ball on some teams. South Alabama, Arkansas, second half against South Carolina. I think Bama's biggest weakness is their secondary. Like, I don't think they match up at all with your receivers. So I think LSU will be able to move the ball in the air against Alabama because everybody moves the ball in the air against Alabama. They're not very good. I mean, Trey Amos is now at Ole Miss. God, kid we saw last night. The cornerback who transferred from Alabama, Des Ricks. Des Ricks is now at A&M. Kool-Aid McKinstry plays for the Saints. the safety who's now at Ohio State, the All-American safety is Ohio State. Like their secondary is very good. Like you will be able to, in 2 weeks, you will be able to throw the ball and move and score and all that stuff. My giant question is, can you stop Jalen Milroe from running? Because he killed you last year with his legs. There's a blow. Hey, come see that show. He killed you running the football last year. And I was really worried about it until the Arkansas game when LSU throttled Taylon Green and Jaquindon Jackson. And then last night against Marcel Reed made me go, I don't know, dog. Like maybe the outlier was the Arkansas game. Let's see. Black Connection, our DT rotation is Wisconsin transfer, West Virginia transfer, Grand Valley State transfer. They will all never make an NFL practice squad. So actually, the West Virginia transfer was Jordan Jefferson. He's now in the NFL, so there isn't a West Virginia transfer on the roster. Your rotation right now is Paez, who is the Wisconsin transfer. They're starting Paris Shand at the other tackle, and he's an Arizona transfer. Suggs has actually been great as an interior pass rush specialist. I had a sack last night. He's been really good. And you're still seeing limited snaps from Ahmad Bro and Don McKinley, Sean Washington. But yeah, I mean, I think Paez, I think, has been unheralded. He eats up a lot of blocks to free up linebackers. He had a great play on the pass deflection on the 4th and 3 at the end of the first half. He also was the guy who forced the fumble on the goal to go situation where they fumbled the snap, where they ultimately settled for a field goal, where they had a goal to go situation at the 1. Paez is the one who plunged in the middle, got his hand in there, and forced the fumble on the air and snap. So I think Paez has played really well. He's not spectacular. He's not Glenn Dorsey. But I think he's played really solid on the interior. Rocky, everything we want to still ahead of us. That loss feels different. It feels different because look, man, it's weird to say this, but sometimes it's easier when you come out of a game where you just get beat for 4 quarters and you know you lost to the better team. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you play a game where they keep you at arm's length the whole time and you know they're just better. And it exposes where you're weak and lets you know you have a lot to work on and you could stomach it. The hardest losses are the ones where you felt like you could have won and it got away. And that's what happened last night. It's so disappointing because you had kept them at arm's length. You were dictating the pace the entire game. You were leading by 2 scores with 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. And it felt like in 1 minute when Nuss threw that ball back over the middle of the field, and now they get the ball at your 8-yard line, and they put in Marcel Reed. I mean, obviously the game changed, and LSU never had a counterpunch for him after that. So that's disappointing because it's a game where we were like LSU was in firm control of that game. And Elko made a very calculated decision and a risk in pulling Wegman, going to Marcel Reed. It felt a little bit like a Hail Mary, but something he had to do to spark his team, and it worked. And that coincided with Nuss playing his worst half of football of the season. You know, those 2 teams play again somewhere down the road, and maybe they will. Who knows? It could happen with SC Championship playoff. Could happen. Different scenario, different field, result, location. It could be different. You know, I mean, that was a coin flip game. You know, A&M was a 1-point favorite, and LSU controlled the entire game for 2.5 quarters, controlled that game, and then boom, changed on a dime. And it snowballed, and you could never get a hold of it again. Those are the hardest ones to stomach, man. When you just lose and someone is just that much better than you. I mean, like, there was a lot of Bama games like that, like the 2018 Bama game where you got shut out, the 2016 Bama game, the 10-0 game in Tiger Stadium. Like, those are disappointing, but you just say they're way better. Like the 2012 Bama game on the Yeldon play, that one's gutting because you had the game won. You had it won, and it got away. Those are the ones that are hardest. That's why yesterday was hard. Because it's one where you looked at and you said, we're in control and made a lot of mistakes early where the 10-point lead could have been 13, 16, 17. I mean, you had first and goal from the 7-yard line on your second possession. You end up settling for a 23-yard field goal, you know? Let's see. Don, this team doesn't have killer instinct. How can you say that? Like, we watched them come back from 17 down against South Carolina. We watched them hang in there against Ole Miss and win the game. I don't know that I can get down on that, man. That's just, Don, I just disagree with you, man. We've seen this team enough this year find themselves trailing and come out of that. I can't get down with that. Patrick P. looking fit in the curbside commercial. Did y'all see that? So we shot incidentally with Slade Roy, not the best week, obviously, there, but we shot T-Bob and Slade Roy and I did a commercial at Curbside. It was pretty fun. It's all satirical and silly, but it's on Instagram if you want to go see it on Curbside's Instagram. But funny thing is, there was a comment like, dude, how small, like, directed me, is like, dude, how small are you? Now I know why you're angry on YouTube all the time. I'm like, bro, I'm standing next to T-Bob. Like, T-Bob was an SEC offensive lineman. He's 6'3", 270. A lot of humans are going to look small next to T-Bob. Like, I'm 6 foot 205. I'm not a small guy, man. I'm just standing next to a giant. Bill, guess who's coming for LSU in 2 weeks? All right, Bill. Look forward to it. Oh, wait, I know who's coming. The team that lost to Vanderbilt. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Yeah. How's that lingering for you, Bill? The Vanderbilt loss? How's that doing? Losing to Tennessee, watching them smoke cigars for you, on you for the second time in 3 years, Bill? How's that going? Yeah. It's hilarious because Bill continues to, what's his name again? Bill something. Bill continues to illustrate my point of how dumb Alabama fans are, and they are dumb because they don't realize that for the last 10 months, Bill Valentine, there he is. For the last 10 months, I have been trolling the ever-living hell out of them, brilliantly, might I add, because they are more obsessed with me than they are with their own team. And all that does is continue to show how much that program has been weakened, because never would they have ever considered me or anybody else. But the fact that someone dares say anything bad about their beloved Tad, they just can't handle it. And they know full and well what they are with Kalen DeBoer. The reality for Alabama people has set in that I have been right all along. And they keep making it about, LSU. And I'm like, it's never been about LSU. It's been about the fact that Alabama is no longer elite. LSU is what they are. And I'm very comfortable with what LSU is. LSU's been a really solid program for the last 25 years. And the only team to win more national championships in that stretch than LSU is Alabama. And it's what they are. LSU's an 8-9 win team, win a bowl game, you get to 9 or 10, and every half decade or so, you have a team that can compete for a championship. 03, 07, 15 that year with Fournette, you were number one. Till you lost the 3 straight. You went Bama, Arkansas, Ole Miss, you unraveled. Of course, you won it all in 19, and I'm sure Kelly will get him back there. You get these recruiting classes in. You'll pop. Your roster will be back in contention. You'll pop, and a 12-team playoff, you'll be there. That's what LSU is, Bill, and that's what Alabama is now. Just another team, good team, but just another team that's capable of losing to Vanderbilt. Tim Gotro, good morning. Is the Sloan Hankton co-coordinator causing issue getting plays in on time? No, Sloan's a play caller. Let's see. Our defense is better, especially the secondary. From last year, y'all. I think that was in response to a comment. God, I'm like 20 minutes behind on comments again. Anyway. Let's see. Oh, man. Golly. Elko is a great coach. That was the only thing missing at A&M. Now I believe there'll be a big problem for the SEC. I would say this, man. A&M is one of the. I know people don't necessarily care about A&M, but A&M is one of the more perplexing programs, not in the SEC, but in all of college football, because it's one of the few places where they have tremendous resources, and Texas to that degree as well, where they have tremendous resources, but they've never been able to figure it out of how to be great. And they've thrown money at it, and they built facilities, and they bought players and rosters and NIL and all that stuff, and they've just never figured it out. Maybe Elko will be that guy. Maybe. Let's see. Slick Nick Mac, did you listen to Kirk Herbstreit call the game? I could not stand it for much longer. I think Herbstreit does a great job. Roll Tide 99 Bama fans think yesterday's 34-0 win over Missouri outweighs the 3 weeks before it. I think I did watch some of that Missouri game. I mean, look, when Brady Cook went out and Drew Pine went in, I think Pine threw 3 interceptions yesterday as well. Come on. I think Bama LSU would be a really good game. Can't have said that a lot over the last 20 years. Well, no, I shouldn't say that, because there were a lot of great games, even though LSU had an 8-game losing streak. A lot of those were really good, really competitive games. Not all of them, but you look like Tom Cruise standing next to T. Tom Cruise is tiny. Yeah, man. This is a good point about Rick. He said nothing happened last night that'll win in 2 weeks won't heal. That's true. Because look, here's the thing for LSU. Yeah, look, obviously beating Bama is always fun, but but if you're looking big picture, last night's win, it's super disappointing because of how it happened, but also it left you no margin for error. I would still maintain that if you win out, you beat you play Bama at home, at Florida, home against Vandy, home against Oklahoma. Yeah, like if you win out, which again is big if, because we've seen like you're capable of playing a game like you did against Arkansas, you're capable of beating Ole Miss, but then you're also capable of blowing a 2-score lead in the second half and losing by 2 scores to Texas A&M, right? That's the challenge of being an inconsistent team, which clearly LSU is. And I thought after beating Ole Miss, handling that success, going to Arkansas and dominating Arkansas in a letdown spot, I thought was evidence that this was becoming a consistent. That was my whole open on Monday's AFR last Monday after the Arkansas win was all great teams find consistency. Like, not good teams, great teams. If you want to be a great championship team, you find consistency. And that's what LSU had lacked under Brian Kelly to this point. They've had great moments, but they hadn't had consistency. And it looked like they were establishing that. And then a game like last night happens where, again, what do? You manage 108,000 people going bonkers. You're on the road. You get up 10-0. Your defense is playing great. You're up 17-7 midway through the third. The lead could have been bigger, but you're still very much in control. And then the avalanche came on your head and you completely unraveled. And that's disappointing, man. All right. Any more? Now I have to watch the Jaguars today. And we got to watch the Saints, bro. Hey, Lowell, good morning. Um, uh, I'm trying to scroll through these. Y'all know there's a million comments. My apologies. I'm not, I just, what's keeping this team from running the ball to the outside? King Mo, they tried, man. Like, they've tried stretch plays. I mean, one of the plays that they ran, a stretch play, was a play where Trades Green was blocking and Trades Green got blown up and it hit Durham for a 3-yard loss. They've tried, brother. Like, I mean, at some point, like, you are what you are. And you've got an 8-game sample now with this team to know they can't run the football. Like, there's certain opponents where they're going to be physically superior and they'll play well and they'll have some success running the ball. But by and large, like, I mean, last week against Arkansas, I mean, you put together that 14-play, 8-minute touchdown drive where you only threw 2 passes. I mean, there's times against certain opponents where you can, but to think you can consistently run it, like, I've got an 8-game sample that says you can't. So, and it's super perplexing because this is such a veteran line that's played together for a long time. And, like, the narrative a year ago wasn't that they can't run. Now, granted, a big part of your rushing offense the last 2 years was Jaden Daniels. And so you've taken the quarterback run element out of the offense because Nuss, now he finally scrambled yesterday it was a had to have it 3rd down and he went and got 12 yards. Actually, I think he hurt the defensive back too, 21, because the next play was the interception over the middle. It was 3rd and 10. So, I mean, this was after they scored to go up 35-23. You get the ball with 8:09, sacked on 1st down, 2nd down. They threw it to Josh Williams for 7 yards. You got 3rd and 10. Nuss runs for it and trucks the defensive back 21. And the next play was the interception. If you saw it, 21 went down after the interception, was like laying down on the sideline. I think Nuss hurt him with that play, with that run. But anyway. Alex BK said, after no quarterback has a chance without a running game. Rick, going to church to pray and forget last night for this team. Play a reminder of their potential. Go Tigers. It was 10:45. Yeah, I got to go get ready for church. Chris, did Caleb Jackson get a carry last night? No. Josh Williams, 7 for 23. Caden Durham, 11 for 15. Nuss, 4 for -3. That, of course, includes sack yardage. And then a team rushing total of 1 for -11. That would have been the errant snap on the punt, which is why it's stupid that goes against your rushing total, but it does. Not that it makes it much better, but adjusted for sack and then the punt play. 11 to be 14. So you're actually at 20 for 38 would have been your actual rushing total if you take out the yardage. Like, again, sacks going against a quarterback's rushing total are stupid. Everyone believes that. I don't know why the NFL doesn't do that. They're team losses. And then the team loss of -11 also went against your rushing total, which was the snap on the punt. So that, or on the field goal that hit Peyton Todd in the face. Gordy. Okay. All right, y'all. Let's wrap this up. I'm gonna go get ready, go to church, pray for the Tigers, and pray for the Saints. Pray for all of us that we have a better day watching the Saints. Please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all for being there. Facebook, like the page, share the post. All of our great sponsors are linked in the description on YouTube and tagged on Facebook. Remember, if you need an orthopedist, Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. After hours clinic, open nights and weekends. Parish, parishbuild.com. I got Parish pin in the chat. We'd love to give you that free, no obligation roofing inspection. Unique Physique and Restored Motions. Unique Physique, the once-a-week injections for weight loss, semaglutide, tirzepatide. Lowest prices, never any contracts. You can do the whole thing over telemed, so you don't have to go into the office, and they can ship your medicine anywhere in the country. So even if you're watching outside of Baton Rouge, they can still help you out. And of course, Restored Motions and restoredmotions.com. All right, y'all. At least our expectations are low. All right, y'all. Go if you want. Please go check out Locked on LSU. I greatly appreciate it. Stayed up last night, recorded Locked on LSU. Finished at about 1:30 in the morning. But you, podcast or YouTube, just search Locked on LSU. Would appreciate it greatly. And y'all have an awesome day. Go check out LouisianaSports.net. LouisianaSports.net. Shout out. Y'all have a great day.